What is up, people? I hope you're doing great. I hope you're having a great day. Welcome to another video. Welcome to the channel. Before I go into the video, guys, I apologize for my voice. I currently have fever or flu. So my voice is a bit like thingy, is a bit shaky, and I might be coughing like while I'm doing the video. So I apologize for that, and also I apologize for not posting any videos last week Friday or Thursday, because I was supposed to post a video on Thursday for thingy for the review of the Champions League games, and I was also supposed to put a video on Friday for a preview of the Premier League games, but I didn't do both of those things because on Thursday I was busy preparing for an event that I had to attend during the weekend, yeah, I had to go out of town and attend an event, so I didn't really have time because on Thursday I was preparing and then I left on Friday morning. And I didn't really have my equipment for like shooting and stuff when I was there, and I wouldn't have been able to do that because I was really busy. So I really apologize for that, guys. But I'm back now, and I'm gonna be posting this video right now, reviewing the games that we're playing this weekend. I'll also be posting videos tomorrow, previewing. Actually, I think the game's tomorrow already. I'll probably be posting another video previewing the midweek games that are going to be playing, because there will be some midweek fixtures in the Premier League this week. We're not playing, City are not playing, because we were supposed to play Arsenal, and that game has now been postponed because Arsenal have to play in the Europa League or whatever. It's a Europa League game that was postponed in light of the Queen's passing. So that's why that game is between us and Arsenal has been postponed. But I'll be probably be posting another video after this one, because I have to preview the Premier League games. But I apologize, guys. Basically, the gist of what I'm saying, that I apologize for not posting any content last week. And then, obviously, guys, before I go into the video, please continue to subscribe to the channel, and please push the thumbs up button to like the video, and also please push the notification bell so that you can get notified each time I post a new video. And then going on to with the review, guys. I'll start talking about the game between Chelsea and Aston Villa. Obviously, Graham Potter has had a good start to his Chelsea career, because I think he's played 5 games or 6 games and he's won 5 and he's only drawn 1. He actually is still unbeaten as the new Chelsea head coach. And some players are playing really well under him. So like Mason Mount has raised his level since Graham Potter came into the team, became the coach of the team. Conor Gallagher is also playing very well. Kepa is back as Chelsea number 1 because he's playing every game for Chelsea and he's playing at a very high level. His confidence is up because the manager believes in him. And then, who's the other guy who's playing well under Potter? Aubameyang has also looked sharp. He's scoring some goals. So I think Graham Potter has had a great start to his Chelsea career. Unbeaten, won 5 of 6 games. And yeah, man, they're playing really well at the moment. Obviously, in the game, it was a shocking error from Tyrone Mings, because the ball is like looping over his head and it's coming like onto his head, and he's trying to head it like outside the box, and it bounces off the top right side of his head, and it goes back towards his own goal, and Mason Mount pounces on his error and he scores from that situation. And the second goal, obviously, from Mason Mount was a brilliant free kick from him. I just saw the highlight of that brilliant free kick from him, and definitely he's playing very well under Graham Potter at this moment in time. And I think the big difference between the Chelsea under Graham Potter and the Chelsea under Thomas Tuchel is that there's a lot more fluidity in the Chelsea under Graham Potter, and there seems to be a lot of ideas that are being implemented onto the football pitch, whereas Tuchel was a bit one-dimensional in the fact that it was make sure that you're defensively solid and you can then attack, and hopefully you find your spark going forward. Whereas, and if you actually looked at Chelsea, whenever they didn't have Reece James, they would really struggle under Thomas Tuchel, because in that system that Thomas Tuchel used to play, which is a back three, a 3-4-3 system, it's Reece James was the predominant chance creator in the team. So that was a bit one-dimensional. You know, if Reece James is not playing, they're going to massively miss him and they're probably going to lose or draw. But now, Reece James is currently injured and they're still winning by 2-0 against Aston Villa. So I think there's a lot more fluidity and flexibility in the team under Graham Potter than there was under Thomas Tuchel. By no means am I saying Graham Potter is a better manager than Thomas Tuchel, because we have to remember Thomas Tuchel is a Champions League winning coach and also won the Deutsche Pokal at Dortmund when he was in his time in Germany. Also made the Champions League final with PSG. So I think like Thomas Tuchel is a brilliant coach, but it did get a bit stale at Chelsea under his leadership, and like it was a bit like one dimension, and as a result, like Chelsea were finding it very difficult to kind of beat a lot of teams, and that's why they kind of fell off last season and ended up not really challenging for the title, even though a lot of people were backing them to challenge for the title. But I thought it was a good performance from Chelsea, shocking performance from Aston Villa, in particular Tyrone Mings, because Aston Villa didn't actually do too bad in the game, but it was a shocking mistake from Tyrone Mings, which obviously led to the goal. Chelsea are playing some good stuff, and I know I've said this before and I'll say it again. I said it when Graham Potter became the Chelsea head coach. I said, watch out for the goalkeeping situation at Chelsea, because I believe Mendy is going to get dropped by Graham Potter, because Graham Potter wants a goalkeeper that can play with the ball at his feet. He did exactly the same thing when he went to Brighton. The goalkeeper was Matt Ryan, and the reserve goalkeeper was the guy who's now the first choice goalkeeper at Brighton. The reserve keeper then, who's now the first choice at Brighton, was better with the ball at his feet than Matt Ryan. Graham Potter dropped Matt Ryan and he put the guy who was better with his feet in goal. I knew Graham Potter was going to do that because of the high-profile mistakes that Mendy has made in the past couple of months when he's playing with the ball at his feet. So I did expect this to happen, if I'm being perfectly honest. I saw it with Pep as well. A lot of coaches with huge personality do this. Pep, when he came to City, he wasn't having Joe Hart. Joe Hart is a City legend and had loads of Premier League appearances for City. Was part of the team that won the first league title since like the 60s. But Pep wasn't having him. He dropped him and he basically bought Claudio Bravo from Barcelona. Claudio Bravo was shocking that season, and Pep still persisted playing him over Joe Hart. And then next season, obviously, bought Edison. And that was the end of Joe Hart's time at City. So, a lot of coaches do this when like they come and the goalkeeper does not really meet the criteria that they want from him in terms of their ability to play with the ball with the ball at their feet, and those goalkeepers tend to get dropped. But I thought it was a good performance from Chelsea, good win for Chelsea. Moving on to the next one, it's Tottenham v Everton. Now, as I said that, I was really busy during the weekend, so I didn't really get a time to watch this game. But I was following it like on comms and like just watching like for the updates in the game. And Everton played really well at the beginning, and they were creating loads of chances at the beginning. And like I was hearing that they were missing clear-cut opportunities where they probably should have scored. But obviously, if you do that against Tottenham, who have Harry Kane, who have Son, who have Kulusevski, who have Richarlison, even though Kulusevski is injured at the minute, and I think Richarlison also got injured in that game. If you have those quality players going forward, you always have a chance of scoring. And that's what Everton suffered from. They didn't take their chances in the game. Spurs got a few opportunities, pounced on them. Harry Kane scores a penalty, and then Højbjerg scores the second goal. So I think it's an important lesson for everyone. You have to capitalize on your chances while you are still on top. Because especially when you play against good teams. Because when you play against good teams always find a way to punish you. Whether it be due to a lapse in concentration in your defense, or whether it be through a moment of brilliance from the opposition, they always find a way to hurt you. And that's what happened to Everton, and they ended up losing the game, even though they didn't really play that bad in the game. But they ended up losing the game against Tottenham because Tottenham just had more quality and they had more of a cutting edge like further forward than Everton did. And that's ultimately the reason why they lost. Honestly, like, there are a lot of people criticizing Spurs' style of play, saying that like they are so boring to watch and they are hard to watch and all of this stuff. I think like Antonio Conte deserves to be given a chance at Tottenham simply because Antonio Conte has won trophies in previous clubs playing the style of football that he's playing. And at times, the style of football that he's playing can be exciting, especially when they're counter-attacking with that fast pace of Son, Kulusevski, and Harry Kane is the brains behind the operation and is dropping deep and he's pinging balls from like deep in midfield for Son to run down the channels. So there are times when Spurs are really exciting, but there are times when they're really boring. But I think Antonio Conte deserves to be given time because Tottenham have gone down this route of always wanting to play the best football and all of this stuff. But they haven't won anything in like over 15 years. Like the last time Tottenham won a trophy was in 2007, I think. And it was a League Cup. And they haven't won a league title since 60 years or 60 something years ago. So like it's all well and good saying you play the best style of football in the league. If you play the best football but you don't win anything, no one really cares. Because you don't win anything. So, and this is not a dig at Tottenham or anything like that. I've got nothing against Tottenham. But what I'm saying is that I think Antonio Conte needs to be given a chance because Antonio Conte potentially could take them to a trophy, whether it be a League Cup or an FA Cup. I don't think, personally, they're capable of winning the Champions League or the Premier League, but they are they have more than enough players and more than enough quality in their team to make a deep run in the FA Cup or in the Carabao Cup. They might even get lucky with their draws and get easy teams to play against. And who knows if they win they win at least one trophy. Because one thing that Tottenham have to do now is to change the mentality of the players. The mentality of the players is the Tottenham mentality of not winning. Again, this is not a dig. Because they have gone for so long without winning anything, it's kind of like there's a mental block in them when they get to a certain situation, and you can see the mentality shift in those Spurs players since they've been coached by Antonio Conte. That Antonio Conte is making them elite players in terms of their mindset and their mentality. So I think Conte certainly deserves a chance. He deserves to be given a chance to show what he can actually do with this Tottenham team and where he can take them. Because you never know. You might play the worst football in the league, but if you win an FA Cup, who cares? Because you've won a trophy. And the team that played the best league didn't win anything. So I think that's my opinion with regards to Tottenham and their style of play. I would say personally, with regards to their style of play, that's one of the major reasons why I believe they can't win the league. Because like you can't win the league playing like that defensive style of football when you have teams like Man City or Arsenal. I'm throwing them in the mix now because they've really been playing well this season. That play front foot football. Because there will be games that you draw when you play the style of play that Spurs play, that you would have otherwise won if you were playing an attacking style of football. So I personally don't think they can win the league or the Champions League, but I think they can definitely make some noise in the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup and potentially win the at least one of those trophies. And I think that would be a great season for them. If they would make top 4 and win a trophy, that would be a great season for Tottenham, because you start to see a mentality shift, and you would start seeing some belief in the players. Because once you get that winning feeling, once you win that trophy, you start having some belief about yourself that you belong. If you're not winning anything, then you always have that doubt in your head that like, am I not born for this? Am I not born for winning? Am I just supposed to be a mediocre player who's not going to win anything for all his career? It starts playing in your head a bit. But as soon as you get over the line and you win that trophy, you start having a mentality shift. You start having a chip on your shoulder. Apologize, guys. It's the flu, man. It's kind of like has me pretty bad. But you start having a mentality shift in the players, and you start giving yourself more of a chance of winning stuff. So I think if they could slowly build with Antonio Conte, back him in the January transfer window, back him again next summer, next year, basically in the transfer window, and let him build the squad so that they can eventually have a squad that's good enough to play a good style of football and also challenge for the league. So, yeah, man, I think it's a bit unfair because some people are even calling for him to be sacked or anything, whereas Tottenham sit third in the Premier League table after 10 games and they are level on points with Man City, and they're only 3 points behind Arsenal. That's not a bad start because, like, literally, they're 3 points from top spot after 10 games. And it's the best start that they've had ever in a Premier League season. So how can you be calling for a manager to be sacked after you've had your best start to a season? Like, the best start ever in your history in a season, in a league season. So I think it's really unfair for like some Spurs fans, and they really being delusional for them like to kind of like call out Antonio Conte and call for him to be sacked. I totally don't agree with that. But good win for Tottenham. Playing against Everton, who are a tough side to play against really this season. Like, Frank Lampard has short them up. Kind of like they have that steel. Like last season, Everton were too easy to play against, and that's why they were in a relegation fight. But this season, they've added Conor Cody to the ranks. They've added James Tarkowski to the ranks. Two experienced Premier League defenders who are not going to make any stupid mistakes. They're going to be smooth. You're not even gonna know that they're there, but they're gonna put a shift in. They're gonna defend well for you. They also have Jordan Pickford, who can have a man of the match performance any day of the week in terms of his shot stopping ability and keeping his team in games. So I think Frank Lampard is doing a good job at Everton so far this season. And yeah, man, Everton are a tough side to play against, especially when you're playing against them at Goodison Park. But it was a good win for Tottenham. I'm not really mentioning like it was a good win for Tottenham considering that they were playing at Goodison Park, because I'm actually not sure whether they were home or away. But it was a good win for It was a good win for Tottenham against Everton. And then moving on to the other games, Arsenal played Leeds. So I've spoken about Tottenham, Chelsea, Arsenal now, then Man United, then City, Liverpool. I've already spoken about City, Liverpool in my previous video. There's not much I'm going to mention with regards to Man United because it was a pretty boring game that they had against Newcastle. They really didn't have a lot of spark against Newcastle and did not create a lot, if any, clear-cut opportunities in the game that would have warranted them to deserve a win. The game ended up as a 0-0 draw. So I don't think there's really a lot that I can say with regards to, because I didn't really watch the game back and I haven't really watched the highlights. I mean, because it was a 0-0 draw and I've heard that it was a pretty boring game from Newcastle fans and Man United fans. So I don't think there's anything I can mention there really. Yeah, obviously Erik ten Hag is still building and embedding his style of play into the team. He's trying to put his fingerprints onto the team, but I don't think there's a lot of stuff I can say about that game in particular. And then obviously moving on to the Arsenal versus Leeds game. Arsenal, they scrapped basically, and they it was a scrappy win for them against Leeds United. Leeds United are another team this season that have improved. A lot of people were backing them to get relegated because they lost Calvin Phillips and they lost Rafinha. Two of their best players really in the last 2 seasons, but they are really playing well and they are very difficult to beat. And like, they lost against Crystal Palace last week, even though they battered Crystal Palace for the whole game and really at the very minimum should have drawn that game. There's no reason whatsoever why they lost that game. Like, they were a bit naive and they didn't take their chances as well and only scored 2 goals when they were on top, and Crystal Palace came back and they won the game. So it was a tough away fixture for Arsenal because I think they were playing at Ellen Road. And Ellen Road is one of those historical stadiums that, like, tight grounds, really noisy. Fans are always up for it. Fans are always bouncing. Fans always back their team. Really passionate Yorkshire supporters. So, like, Leeds is a tough place to go to, especially if you have fans there. And they're really playing some good stuff so far this season under Jesse Marsch. And Jesse Marsch has really kind of coached them all, and they're proving very difficult to beat. But Arsenal obviously found a way, and that's what teams that aspire to win the league do. When you don't play well, you find a way to win. And that's what Arsenal did yesterday. So credit to them, really, because it's an important part of the game to scrap. Like, you can't play beautiful football all the time. There will be times in a long season where you're going to play bad. The most important thing is to make sure that you still win. You keep on winning even if you play bad. That's what champions do. Not that I'm saying Arsenal are going to be champions, but that's what we usually say. That's what champions do. They find a way to win even when they don't win. But I'm not saying Arsenal are going to win the league. For me, because I even heard Michael Owen saying that we said the same thing about Leicester, saying that they can't win. Like we said, same thing when they had a 4-point lead, that they can't win or whatever, and they end up winning the Premier League. Now, I wasn't really someone who watched the Premier League when Leicester won the league. I used to play PlayStation a lot at that time, and that's basically that was the main interaction I had with like football. Was mainly playing FIFA basically on PlayStation. So like, I don't quite remember. I just know that season that Chelsea were shocking because they finished like 8th or 9th or 10th, but they were not even in the Europa League. Arsenal, I think, finished 4th, if I'm not mistaken. But Spurs finished 2nd. I think City finished 3rd that season. But basically, the closest challenges to Leicester were Tottenham. Now, the circumstances now compared to then are totally different. Back then, you could win the league with 81 points, 82 points, 83, which is what I think Leicester got. Like, they eventually got around like 80-something points. Now, in the last 4 or 5 seasons, 4 league titles have been won by City. 1 league title has been won by Liverpool. Of the 4 league titles that have been won by City, there's only 1 league title that was won with less than 90 points, which was last season. No, not last season. 2 seasons ago. 2 seasons ago. The COVID season. When we started the season really poorly, didn't have any spark offensively. I literally had given up on winning the league that season because we were not playing at the level, and I just thought there's no ways we're winning this. But obviously Liverpool, luckily for us, Liverpool had a few injuries, and we then started to pick up our form, went on a run, and were able to win the league eventually. But that season is our worst season. Okay, no, it's not our worst season. Our worst season was in 2019-20 because we didn't win anything. But in terms of points tally, that's the worst points tally that won the league. It was 2 seasons ago in 2020-21. And we got 86 points that season. So, you need to get at least 90 points to win the league. I just don't see Arsenal getting to that point. And even if they get to that point of getting 90 points, I don't see City getting less than what Arsenal are going to get. Unless something totally catastrophic happens at Man City. Now, when I say catastrophic, I mean Kevin De Bruyne, Erling Haaland, Phil Foden, Rodri, Gundogan. They all get injured for like 3 months, all at the same time. If that happens, and Arsenal are able to keep their players fit, then I think they can win the league. But obviously, that's not something that's likely to happen. It's unlikely that 5 of your key players in your squad will get long-term injuries all at the same time. Which is why, for me, it's a bit of a stretch for me to say Arsenal can win the league. And for me, I think it's too much praise for a team that's only beaten, really the big teams they've beaten, it's Liverpool and Tottenham. Now, I know you might come at me and say, but we just lost to Liverpool. Doesn't matter. What I'm trying to say is that, look, we can lose to Crystal Palace. It doesn't matter. We're not talking about City here. City have credit in the bank when it comes to winning the league. Arsenal haven't won the league since 03-04. Like, the last time Arsenal lifted a league title I was not born yet. Because I was born in May of 2004. Okay, well, probably I was born, but I was not even a month old. Because usually the season ends in May, and I was born on the 6th of May of 2004. That's the last time Arsenal won a league title. So they don't have any credit in the bank with regards to winning the league. Until we see it with our own eyes, then we can't really, well, until I see it, let me not speak for everyone, until I see it with my own two eyes, I can't back Arsenal over Man City to win the league, even if I was not a City supporter. But first of all, the quality in the City squad is better than Arsenal's. No matter what you say, I don't care who's first or whatever, the quality in City's squad is better than Arsenal. And City have more experience than Arsenal in terms of competing for a league title, because the Arsenal squad is still a relatively young squad. Most of their players have never even played in the Champions League. Martinelli, Saka, Odegaard probably has played because he used to play for Real Madrid. Gabriel, Saliba, all these guys have never even played in the Champions League. Only Jesus, Zinchenko, Thomas Partey, probably Odegaard, and maybe Xhaka, because he was there when Arsenal lost in the Champions League. I'm not quite sure. But it's only the guys that they've bought from other clubs that have actually played in the Champions League. So for me, it's a bit of a stretch to say Arsenal are going to win the league over City or whatever, because it's a long season. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Like, Arsenal are ahead after the first 10 laps. Or 10 laps. We still have 28 more laps to go. So, like, it's just, for me, it's a bit far-fetched. And, like, it's way overboard for me to say Arsenal are going to win the league. I just can't say that. Like, unless something really, really, really strange happens at City, like multiple injuries to key players all at the same time, I just don't see it happening. And I am happy to be proven wrong by Arsenal if they end up winning the league, but I'm not saying it. And also, I was saying to myself earlier, unless Arsenal can get a 15-point gap between them and City with no games in hand. So if Arsenal can have a 15 to 20-point gap between them and City have literally have no games in hand on them, and then they strengthen in January to try and bolster their squad, then I think they can win. Of course, that hasn't happened because they only have a 4-point lead at the top. So, in my opinion, I'm not ready to say Arsenal are going to win the league, because I just think it's a bit far-fetched. City have been 7 points behind Liverpool before. I remember in the season 2018-19, we ended up winning the league with 1 point. There was a time when Liverpool were winning all their games. We drew one and we lost one. And all of a sudden, Liverpool had a 7-point lead on us. And we basically had no games in hand on them. But we had to play them at the Etihad. And we beat them at the Etihad. They drew 2 games. We overtook them. And they never caught us. We won each and every single game. We basically ended our season with a 15-match winning streak. We won 15 games on the bounce in the Premier League and ended up winning the Premier League. So, I don't see a team that has performed at that level being out-dueled by an Arsenal team that has done nothing. Let's be honest. This Arsenal team has done nothing. They've done nothing. They've only won an FA Cup with Arteta 3 seasons ago. But apart from that, they've done nothing. They haven't been in the Champions League in 4 or 5 years. And they haven't really won anything since winning that FA Cup in 2019 or 2020. I don't quite remember. So, for me, it's a bit of a stretch to say Arsenal are going to win the league. But I am praising them that they scrapped. And it was a scrappy victory for them against Leeds United. And that's what you need to do if you want to be elite. You need to find a way to win even when you don't play well. And that's what Arsenal did yesterday against Arsenal. So kudos to them, credit to them. I fully back them, and I'm giving them credit. I'm not anti-Arsenal. or like yeah, I'm not anti-Arsenal, and I'm giving praise where praise is due. But for people to be saying they can win the league, I think that's a bit of a stretch. But yeah, I'm happy to be proven wrong if it happens. But yeah, guys. Thank you for watching the video, guys. That brings us to the end of the video, because I've obviously mentioned all the games I played this weekend. Please do check out the videos. Please do check out my YouTube channel, and please keep on supporting the channel. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so, and also please push the thumbs up button to like the videos, guys. I'd really appreciate that. And also please push the notification bell so that you can get notified each time I post a new video. And thank you for watching the video, guys. I really appreciate the support. And I'll see you in the next one, guys. Enjoy your evening. And yeah, man, have a great night.